We here at Every Movie Ever were, of course, big fans of the Kingsman, and we're very excited to hear about a Kingsman sequel featuring a lot of people returning in front of and behind the camera. This is called Kingsman: The Golden Circle. You've got your Taron Egerton back as the lead guy. He's a lot of fun in these. His performance as a sort of lower class British guy who gets enrolled into this secret high class spy organization is usually really fun, and that's no different here. Colin Firth is there to bring the movie a lot of gravitas, as is Mark Strong, who's a guy who often plays a villain, but in these Kingsman movies plays a sort of Q role, the gadget guy. And he serves as a real sort of father figure and mentor to Eggsy, which is the name of Taron Egerton's character. This movie also has Colin Firth. Colin Firth played, even more of a father figure, a senior agent and mentor to Eggsy in the first one. He's back, and I want to talk about that more in a little bit. This movie also adds Julianne Moore as the villain, and she is a ton of fun in this movie. She's an international drug kingpin who's very obsessed with like nostalgia and the 50s and things like that. And so she's a lot of fun to have in this movie. Also a lot of fun, Elton John playing himself is a real hoot. He gets some really fun things to do. And of course, Matthew Vaughn is back to direct, and he's a really capable director who I've enjoyed most of his films, but I would really like to see him back behind the camera doing more than just the kind of movies he's been doing, which is lately he's almost exclusively been filming adaptations of Mark Millar comic books, both in the terms of the Kingsman movies and in the Kick-Ass movies that he did. I'd like to see him maybe do something a little more original, a little more out of his own brain, but it is what it is, and he's a very good director. So now this movie is not as good as the first Kingsman, and that largely falls on the shoulders of, well, I don't want to say it falls on the shoulders of Colin Firth, but it falls on the shoulders of his character. So Colin Firth, spoiler alert, is killed off in the first Kingsman movie, and they decide to bring him back in this one. And the way they bring him back is, pretty silly and implausible. He feels like a third wheel throughout the thing. I think it would have been a stronger movie with Eggsy out on his own. A big part of that first Kingsman movie was in the third act, Eggsy having to grow and come into his own and be his own man and agent, and I would have liked to have seen that continue through this movie without both the crutch of Colin Firth and also the fact that Colin Firth does become this sort of albatross that the movie has to drag around as he's sort of dealing with some sort of like PTSD and memory loss things. It's a lot like when they bring Tommy Lee Jones back in the second Men in Black, and it doesn't really work. Again, though, this is a pretty fun movie. The plot does involve our Kingsman characters going to America and teaming up with their American counterparts, the so-called statesmen. And so you get some fun stuff from Jeff Bridges and from Magic Mike, Channing Tatum. It's a fun movie, just not as good as the first. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars.